My mother-in-law dyed and straightened my mixed daughter's hair, so I blasted her on social media. My mother-in-law never seemed thrilled about her son marrying a black woman, but I guess she has never been straight up nasty to me. However, every time I see her, she commits microaggressions against me. For example, the first time I ever met her, she touched my curly hair and said she liked my wild look. I was offended, and I asked her to please not to touch my hair. All she said was, "But you must be used to it since you're okay wearing your hair like this." And touched it again. My husband, who was still my boyfriend at the time, understood my concerns after I told him how it made me feel. He told me that he had a talk with his mom about respecting my personal space, and after that, we only saw her on special occasions since we had such a poor first impression. My husband and his mom were never super close growing up, so it wasn't an issue when we didn't see her regularly during our relationship. Yet the times I did see his mom, like during the holidays, she would always manage to make a weird comment about my race or my hair. She made several passive-aggressive comments and once even asked me why I had never tried to tame my hair since I would be such a pretty girl if I had straight hair and that my natural hair was such a shame. It was honestly one of the rudest things anyone's ever said to me. On top of that, she said it in front of her entire family without any backlash. Anyway, my husband and I had our first child a year ago, and I almost completely cut off my mother-in-law for the way she acted at the hospital when she first met my daughter. My husband handed her our newborn baby, and the first thing she said was, "Well, let's hope you end up having pretty hair like Grandma." I kicked her out of the delivery room that day myself, and ever since then, our relationship has been especially strained. I only recently started trying to tolerate her more. Last week I allowed her to babysit our daughter since the very first time she was born. It has proved to be one of the harshest mistakes I've ever made in my life, and I will always regret trusting this woman with my child. My husband and I had been working extra hard recently, so we wanted to take a day trip, nothing overnight, since I didn't feel ready to leave my daughter for that long. He convinced me to leave my daughter in the care of his mom, even though I had a bad feeling about it in my stomach the entire time we were dropping her off. I would do anything to go back in time and listen to my instincts, and it still breaks my heart to think about the condition that we picked my daughter up in. When we get back to my mother-in-law's that night, my jaw dropped when I laid eyes on my daughter. First of all, her eyes were swollen like she had been crying all day, and I was shocked to see that her hair had been dyed and straightened. It looked awful, and my daughter was clearly upset. I immediately started ripping into my mother-in-law, asking what the hell she had done to my child. She just kept telling me to calm down and insisted this was a much cleaner look for my daughter. She said she had taken my daughter to a professional salon to get her hair dyed and keratin treated. She had dyed her hair a horrendous shade of platinum blonde, and the keratin didn't mix well at all with my daughter's hair and it left it with this crunchy wavy texture that felt atrocious. Apparently my daughter had been forced to sit in the hairdresser's chair for almost 4 hours even though she was only a toddler. My daughter was so exhausted and she just kept touching her hair and crying in my arms. I told my husband that I was never letting his mother-in-law take care of our baby ever again, and then I never wanted to see her for as long as I lived before storming out of her house. My husband didn't follow me out, instead, he stayed inside and spoke with his mother. I waited in the car for him, and he was silent the entire drive home. When we got home, I just spent the rest of the night comforting my daughter. My husband didn't bother us, and it honestly felt like he was ignoring me. He didn't even come to check on my daughter or comfort her before I put her to sleep. He just went to sleep early himself, and we still haven't spoken about everything that happened. I took photos of my daughter's hair so I could post on a curly hair group and ask for help on how to fix the damage that the hairdresser had caused. I was still fuming, and I provided the full story without my mother-in-law's name in the description of my post. The comments were full of people appalled by her behavior, but I received so many helpful tips, and I'm going to start repairing my baby's hair this week after I buy some products. Tomorrow afternoon when he gets home from work, I will sit him down and talk to him about how serious his mom's actions were and how I wouldn't tolerate this type of treatment from her anymore. It was one thing to have disrespected me for our entire marriage, but altering my daughter's body like this without even checking with her parents was another level of madness that I wouldn't stand for.